Hey guys, CJ. So BC.Game has been in the news quite a lot recently as they have been making some rather aggressive moves to bring their team from mediocre to actually somewhat contenders. And honestly, as someone who has been levied a lot of criticism in the past towards this organization and how they've built their teams, they seem to be going the Falcons route and are actually slowly building their way up to a highly competitive roster. Now, this is all obviously speculation as we have yet to see this new speculated iteration play. But when they originally bought the Portuguese core to play alongside Electronic and Simple, they kind of flopped out pretty hard. They showed up a couple of times at some bigger tournaments, but didn't really do much beyond that. Then, with the loan of Senzu after his time in Passion UA came to an end because Passion UA seemingly disintegrated into thin air, uh, it has been announced a number of things. All the Portuguese boys are gone, and they've actually gone back to their home on Saw, which is rather funny to see. Saw basically gets to sell their entire core, make money, and get them all back at a cheaper price later. Whatever, good for them. Another national team, hell yeah. But the obviously interesting signings are that they have signed Magisk as a IGL, our four-time major winning Astralis and Vitality player. Uh, and honestly, I think that is a fantastic transition for him. Everyone has always sort of known that this would be maybe an inevitability for him. He won a tournament in Astralis while being the in-game leader. He's played under both Glaive and Apex, and he's played under a lot of the all-time greats. He's had a lot of great coaches. He knows what it means to be a leader and what it means to command a high-tier team. And if he thinks he's up to the task, well, either he is, or he'll join the long line of people who have absolutely bombed at that, including Electronic, who's still on the team. But that's neither here nor there. I think Magisk is a great signing in order for BC.Game to start building a better roster. And they have also announced that Senzu's loan is no longer a loan. He has been permanently bought from the Mongolz and will be on the team long term. This is now shaping the team towards being a strange international mix with three absolute veteran players who are on the older age, a young star in Mongol's former star Senzu, and the rumor, which unconfirmed, I'm recording these videos ahead of time in order to I'm at a wedding this weekend. But the rumor, which I'm hopefully is confirming soon because it's been corroborated by HLTV to a degree. If they post about it, if it's on HLTV, check HLTV JW pregnant. It's more statistically likely to come true and has a bit more merit. And that merit is that Mizinho is going to also be leaving the Mongolz to join BC.Game. Now, if they do that, it's the end of the Mongolz, pretty much, in my opinion. Blitz and 910 and Techno are they're great. Don't get me wrong. I think Blitz could go, if he wanted to learn English and go international, I think he could be a highly sought after in-game leader. Mara is a great coach, and I know that he'll work his hardest to find another group of players in order to try and bring the Mongolz back to the top. 910, while streaky, is a world-class opper on most days. He's a fantastic player, and Techno really elevated himself over the past year and a half to show how he truly is the backbone of the Mongolz. And when he has his games where he is on, they are unstoppable as a team because he's their worst player, and he's great. So to see their star, and now Mizinho, who I consider to be the rock of this team, he is the most stable piece in the entire roster, to have him be airlifted out of Mongolz into BC.Game, while fantastic for BC.Game and honestly making one hell of a lineup that I think could actually be fairly competitive at the higher tiers of Counterstrike, it will rob us and kill us of the Mongolz, whom have been in a steady decline for the past, year and a half, ever since they benched Senzu after Austin or whatever, or ever since they won ESWC and Senzu was benched for pretty much unknown reasons. They've since come out and said that it was an amicable benching. He requested X, Y, Z. There's been a number of reasons thrown around. But the truth of the matter is that we just don't know. Because if it was an amicable benching, Senzu's been out there playing in fucking Passion UA, and he's been on these loans, and he's been all over Hell and Creation. Cobra Zera has been a pretty good fill-in for him, but he had his struggles at the major, and that's what cost them that next level. Go home. Come back. If there's no problems, hell, they visit each other at tournaments and shoot the breeze, and they all seem perfectly fine. What is we don't know, but if there was nothing truly wrong that prevented them from getting along on a personality basis, they should have bit the bullet and brought Senzu back, and then they could have been back on that vitality contending level. It's it's disappointing to see, but this isn't a Mongolz video, it's a BC Game video, and if BC Game do go through with this signing, which I'm operating under the assumption that they will, because they have more money than God, it seems. They're a Falcons-esque, huge money team. If they're able to get Mazinho and they're able to make this international mix work, I'm fairly interested in how this team is going to go. Now, one of the big question marks in all this is going to be Taz being their coach still. I believe that, him and Magisk can do this, but I think it will more come down to Magisk because you know, when it comes to simple, he's the GOAT. Zaiwu is probably there now and is obviously the GOAT of CS2. He's one of, if not the greatest player of all time, but in my heart of hearts, I will always think of Simple as the GOAT. And when you are a player of that caliber, there is an ego that comes to it that is especially prevalent with Simple. That's what makes Zaiwu so special, is his lack of an ego, or at least his perceived lack of an ego from the outside community, which is something he's been working on to actually develop in order to try and get hungrier and reach that true GOAT next level status. Nico is a very not egotistical. Yeah, I could say that he's egotistical and he's a very, iron fisted type of player. Donk, for his age, actually does not have the type of ego that you would expect for a player of his caliber. Players who are of that special breed, that cut above, they tend to have difficult personalities to work with. And when you are not an in-game leader or captain who has a large tenure or pedigree, they're not going to listen to you. Why? Like, I like Mutierrez. I respect Mutierrez with what he has done. Simple's not going to fucking listen to you. When you go, Sasha, shut up, do this, he's going to go, fuck you. I've won a Grand Slam and a Major and was the greatest player of all time. What are you going to say to that? You can't say anything to that without coming across as stooping down to his level and being somewhat childish. You can't earn his respect as a captain if he's always going to override you because he believes he knows better. Well, Magisk has 4 majors, did it on 2 different teams, has played with some of the greatest players in history, 2 of the greatest coaches in history, and he won a major far more recently than Simple. And I know I just said it, but he can always drop Mateo, Zaiwu never did this to me. Or Zaiwu typically does this. Zaiwu did that. And the difference between you and Zaiwu is that he's still the greatest player playing, and you're not anymore, Sasha. So if there's anyone who could have the pedigree and authority to, and I know it was a joke around the time when Hooksy joined, tell Nico to shut the fuck up. Tell Simple to shut the fuck up and do his job. Magisk might be the guy. And if if Taz doesn't work out, they can always upgrade him later, whatever. But Taz, I think, being a cheerleader is actually going to be somewhat important for this team because I think a majority of them are going to tilt off the face of the fucking planet. And that's why Mazinho and Magisk are so important, is that they are those rocks. They are those emotionally not neutral, but they're more in control of themselves, whereas we know what Simple and Electronic are like. And Senzu does have a particular, not history, but a tendency at times to also tilt. So when you put all 3 of them in the server, you do need some calming presences in the comms. And if the guy running the comms is the calmest presence of all, who has the authority to actually tell everyone what to do, it's about as good as it gets. So that's pretty much it. What do you guys think of this potential move or confirmed move at this time? Like I said, this is recorded in advance. I think it could put BC Game at the actual upper echelons to start contending for trophies if they can make it work. And it is an absolute shame that we have lost to the Mongolz, this absolute darling of a team who we have all loved to watch grow and start to contend at the highest level, and then slowly decay as they lost their star player at the peak of their powers. I hope they can rebuild. I hope this isn't the end of them and we see a slow decline. But if it is, goddamn Mongolz, you burned beautiful, you burned bright. Yeah. So let me know down below what you guys think of these moves. How do you think Mongolz are going to come back? Do you think BC Game is actually going to contend? What's your favorite roster move of the year so far? What's your favorite roster move of this roster mania so far? I have been CJ. Have a great rest of your day. Deuces.